Hi everybody and welcome back to Tales of Wanderlust. Today we are going to do the first episode of the Working on the Road series. So if you're curious what Greg does to make a living on the road, stay tuned. All right, knock knock.
All right, you ready?
Jasper's coming in.
Good.
So today we're going to learn from Greg about what he does working on the road to afford living full-time. So Greg, can you give us a quick intro? Why do you full-time in the Airstream? And a little bit of your background story.
So I full-time because I love traveling. I love experiencing new places and visiting the local towns and getting kind of what the vibe is like in these places rather than just living in one place all the time. I lived in the Austin area for 12 years. I love that, but I needed something more than that. So I love getting out. I chose an Airstream because I was convinced of the quality. I loved that the Airstream embraced travel and that the shell is aerodynamic, but then as you can see, the cabinetry is built in, kind of like what an airplane would be. Even though it is more expensive, to me it was worth it. So what do I do for a living? I work for a company and I help develop certification exams. We have 13 exams that we maintain, and we're also moving into multiple languages. So I'm helping with translating these certification exams. So how I got into this, I had 20 years of experience in teaching and school administration. While I was a teacher, I worked for a company for student testing. So that you've heard of the high stakes testing for states.
Yep.
I didn't work on the Texas exam, but I worked on other exams around the country for a huge testing company. It's the biggest one out there. And I was mainly focused on just the user experience, making sure that there wasn't any bias on the exam. So an easy one would be like color blindness.
Okay.
Trying to make sure that you wouldn't have like blue and green in the same photo or graphic.
Oh, interesting.
So that people would, like a boy that's colorblind wouldn't be able to distinguish between blue and green.
Yep. Yep.
If he's colorblind. So I did that for a bit, and then after I hit the road for a year, somebody I worked with, that company reached out to me and brought me onto this new company. The software development company, and we maintained, I think, nine or 10 different certification exams. So that's how I got into that. I did that for a year. COVID prevented me from continuing with that, so I was kind of laid off from there. The contract wasn't renewed, and then I found this job just recently. I've been working for them for a couple months now. Really enjoy it because it enables me to work on the road. I can work kind of at my own pace too. There are meetings that I have to attend, but then there's also a time where I can work on my own and not having to interact with people 24/7 or like 8 hours straight in a day.
Yep.
There's time where I can actually sit down and get my work done.
So when you first hit the road, your job doing the exams, you took it on the road?
Actually, so I decided I was going to start out on the road just for the first year without having to worry about work. So as far as like financing, I made a commitment to myself to save up as much money as I could.
Yep.
Live off of investments. I'm not independently wealthy or anything like that, and don't come from money.
Yep.
But I saved as much as I could. I was very, very frugal. So the first year I lived just on that savings, and then I took this job with the software development company developing certification exams. I thought of it more that first year as kind of a sabbatical because there was a chance I may go back into education, but once I hit the road and experienced living this free life, I couldn't stop. So I didn't want to stop, so I continued with it.
How long did you go from thinking you were going to do this to start saving to actually hitting the road?
I want to say it was at least 2 years.
Okay.
2 years. I bought this trailer. Actually bought it used, got a really good deal on it, and I bought it with the idea that Airstreams last for a really long time. I wasn't anywhere near retirement. I had at least 15 years, 20 years, but I also wanted to have this in retirement, but also be able to have fun with this before retirement. And then I think it was about a year after I bought this that I thought, hey, I'm going to try this hitting the road for at least a year, just to take a break from education, spend time away from work and just learning, and then also experiencing travel. Then I resigned from my job. That summer of 2018 is when I started. Hit the road. For a year, I didn't work. Started in September of 19 working for the software development company.
Okay.
Did that for a year, and then COVID hit, and then was out of work for a few months. I worked part-time. I've been doing some freelance work. I've got my own personal blog that I started, done some guest blogging for some major websites, and then I'm a photographer as well. So last year I introduced my first calendar. So I'm doing that again this year. Actually going to try 2 different calendars. One's Airstream related, one is just landscape photography.
Oh, nice.
And I've also photographed some campgrounds. So campgrounds have hired me out to post pictures on their website. So I do that on the side as well.
So you have a mix of work where you work for somebody and then also your own personal side items as well. So the newest job you have, how did you find that job? Is that something you went out and found?
Yes, I did. So I was working for an education company, and I did that for about 6 weeks. During that, I was like, it really wasn't what I wanted.
Yep.
But I took it anyway because I needed to go ahead and work. During that time, I was still looking for work. So I found this job, and it was a part-time job. So I worked half-time doing that, and it was just perfect for my lifestyle. And perfect for what I needed as far as just paying for expenses. So I applied for it, got the job, and I think I found it on, I cannot remember which website it was, but one of the websites that post jobs and everything.
Yep. And was it just like a remote job you were looking for?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was remote. It was also certification exam development I searched.
Okay.
So it just kind of fit with what I had done in the past. I was really fortunate to find this thing because it was just the perfect fit for me. I want to work part-time. I don't want to work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, or in my case, before it was like 12 hours a day, 80 hours a week. I didn't want to do that.
Right. So. And by being on the road with part-time work and then your side gigs, you can balance everything. Yep. And you can make it all work.
And that's what, in my interview process, the interviews, that's what I told them up front. I was like, I really want to continue with photography, the blogging, things like that, things I'm really interested in doing. So if I can do both, I'd love to do both. Yep. And it's worked out so far.
And part-time has really opened that up. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So how did the interview process go? And do they know you live in an RV now? At what point did you tell them?
So I was very upfront with them from the beginning.
Okay.
Because I did have experience working full-time with certification exam development on the road. And this was already going to be a remote, 100% remote job anyway. One of the questions they did ask, because I did tell them my home was in Texas, so I do go back in the fall, like November, December, I'm back in Texas. So I told them that, but I didn't tell them exactly that I was 100% full-time in the RV until after I got the job. But they did ask me, it's like, well, how do you access the internet? Because you need that for this job. So I explained to them, I have AT&T, I have access to Verizon, so I have both of those on 2 different phones. I've got a WeBoost that helps with signal. And then also, in searching for campsites, I look for good cell signal. And that combination, plus the experience I had already, I think that helped me get the job because I think they were willing to take a chance on me because I already had experience.
Makes sense.
So
okay.
that was very helpful. With this company I work for now, they're always fascinated. It's always something that they want to know more about. And even when I left my job before, I was an associate principal at a large high school in Texas. I was kind of concerned because I was the principal's right-hand person. So I was the person people turned to in the school if anything happened. So if anything from something happened in the bathroom, the toilet's overflowing, to whatever major catastrophe could happen at the school, I'm the first person they would turn to.
Yeah.
So I was actually pretty concerned about communicating this to our faculty and staff. And actually I was very surprised. Our staff was very supportive. And I thought they were going to, well, what's wrong? Why is he leaving? Did he get fired? Whatever. No, they weren't like that. They were very, very happy that I made the decision to step out and try this lifestyle.
What does your work setup look like?
All right, so basically this is it right here. Most of the time, just about every day, I'm in a Zoom interview, Zoom or a Google Meet. This is, I think, the best background in the RV.
So you don't blur your background or anything?
I do blur it.
You do blur it.
I do blur it.
Okay.
And then every once in a while, I'll post like one of my photos. So the other day,
cool.
I had one from Crested Butte where we had the orange and the yellow trees and everything, and that popped really well, and I have that as a background. If I do that, it's my certification team, the people that really know me really well. So the ones that are encouraging, hey, so when are you going to post and show us some pictures and stuff like that? So they want to know, they want to see.
So internal versus external, you have like two different modes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Or if there's people in the company that's going to be in the meeting that I don't know that well, I kind of feel weird about. I don't want to show off, you know, and not that I'm showing off or anything,
I get it,
but I may just have this as a background and blur it. So this is kind of where I work, and you know, I work from a laptop. I do have my outlets inverted. I've got Battleborn batteries, and it's connected to an inverter, so it takes that DC power from the batteries, converts it to AC power, and now my plugs are connected to that, so then I can work. I can also watch TV if I want to. So at night, sometimes I'm watching TV. This also acts
not while work, right?
Not while work. No, not while work. There's times if I'm doing some work, I need a second monitor. I'll plug the computer to the TV, and then I can have the bigger screen.
Nice.
And be able to see better.
So you carry two computers with you. You have your work computer.
Yes.
Which company provided?
Company provided this.
And then you have your personal computer for the blogging, the video editing, things like that.
If I need to stand up, I've got stand-up desk. If I'm looking at that second monitor, I can either sit where you're sitting and look at the TV. Okay. Or I can stand up and be able to see the TV and the laptop at the same time.
Does it swing out?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't swing out. Okay, so you're doing like kind of back and forth. Okay, it's a big TV for that.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Your Wheat Boost is outside, right? Obviously. Do you have the little antenna inside somewhere?
Oh yeah. So what I do, I take this out, is I have this where I can stretch this across.
Oh, nice.
And then I set this here, so the internal antenna is very close. So I've got two phones. My other phone is a Verizon, and this is the AT&T. Whichever network I'm working on, I'll set the phone next to that, and it gets a stronger signal there.
So you actually just work off hotspots off your cell phone?
Yep.
So you just have like two cell phone plans then?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Are you familiar with Visible?
Mm-mm.
So Visible, it's $40 a month, unlimited.
Okay.
It works on the Verizon network. However, Verizon customers get prioritized. So if the cell phone tower gets overloaded, this gets throttled down.
So for your blogging stuff, so if somebody wanted to find you, what is your handle on the internet?
The personal blog is boondockersphilosophy.com. The reason for that is I know where my resources come from now. I'm very careful about my water usage, even like wildlife and like plants. I feel like I'm just a lot more aware of that.
It's easier as you're living amongst them to pay attention. Yeah.
So I've got a little bit on the blog, but a lot of it is just educational type resources, like how to manage your gray tank. And I boondock as much as I can. When I go back to Texas, I'm in a campground, but that's because there's not as much free places to camp. But when I'm out west, I'm boondocking. To me, you're out in nature, you're away from everything, you're much more connected to the earth, and you're managing your resources much more closely. So that's boondockersphilosophy.com. And then I've got the Instagram is this Airstream Life. Got a Facebook page too. Right before I hit the road, I was like, oh, I'm going to at least kind of document my travels through Instagram. Really enjoyed that part. I've enjoyed interacting with people on Instagram. I get lots of questions through DMs and love helping people out that way.
And then your calendars and stuff, that's all through Instagram?
Yes. So that's actually why I started the blog. I sell the calendar on that. I will be posting that probably early to mid-November is when the calendar will start coming out.
So that's it. That is what Greg does to make money while living on the road. So if you have any questions for him, feel free to check out this Airstream Life on Instagram, or you can comment below and I will get the questions right over to him. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Jasper!
Yeah, you're doing fine.
So, I don't know, you took a year off.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's how I ended up on the road.
Yeah.
It's funny, I started out the 1 year on the road, and I kind of told everybody it's just for 1 year, but in the back of my mind is like, I'm hoping this is going to last longer than 1 year.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to admit that to people. I didn't know
You don't know how it's going to turn out, or yeah.
So I kind of gave myself kind of a hedged a little bit. It's like, okay, I'll do this for a year. I'm going to enjoy this for a year.
Yeah.
I'd love to continue doing this more than a year. And after that 1 year, I did not spend nearly as much money as I thought I was going to. I was doing just fine, and it was time for me to start working anyway. So I enjoyed doing what I was doing.